back to English class. Today we are going to start a new chapter and the chapter name is Albert Einstein and School. It is written by Patrick Pringle. So before reading this chapter line by line, let me give you a small introduction of this chapter. So this lesson is basically an extract from the biography of Albert named The Young Einstein, and it was written by Patrick Pringle. So before giving you the detailed description of this chapter, let me give you the small introduction of the important character of this chapter. The first one is Albert Einstein, the great scientist, and the second one is Yuri. Yuri was Albert Einstein's best friend. Next one is Elsa. Elsa was Einstein's cousin. Next, Ernest Will. Ernest Will was friend of Yuri and he was newly qualified doctor. Next one, Mr. Koch. Mr. Koch was Einstein's maths teacher, and there was one more important character, head of the organization, the head teacher. So, in this story, every title is given Albert Einstein at School. So, this chapter revolves around the school time and the struggle of Albert Einstein. Basically, in this chapter, we will understand what kind of struggle Albert Einstein had to face when he was a schoolboy, whether he liked the school environment or not. What was the impact of the discipline of the school and how he completed his education, that we will understand here. We will also come to know about the nature of this Albert Einstein, like what kind of student he was when he was a student in his childhood. So, let's begin from the first paragraph. In what year, Einstein, asked the history teacher, did the Persian defeat the French at Waterloo? I don't know, sir. Why don't you know? You have been told it often enough. I must have forgotten. Did you ever try to learn? Asked Mr. Brown. So in the first paragraph, there is a scene of classroom when Albert Einstein was when questions are being asked from Albert Einstein from his history teacher. And what was the question? His history teacher asked to tell the date of Persian defeat. Alright. So further, he asked, Albert said he didn't know the reply. So further, his teacher asked him, he must remember this important date. Then, Albert Einstein replied because he didn't find any logic learning in these important dates. So this bold reply was not liked by his history teacher. Albert replied with his usual unthinking honesty, why not? I can't see any point in learning dates. One can always look them up in the book. When he was asked why he did not learn those important historical dates, then he said, because he didn't find any logic behind this, because according to Albert, any important historical date can be looked up in the book. So it is not very much important to learn. And this answer made his history teacher very much angry. He became upset. He became angry, furious from Albert. I can't. Then Mr. Brown was speechless for a few moments. He never expected that in such a way Albert will reply him. Albert would reply him. You amaze me. You made me surprise Einstein by giving this reply, because he never expected that this kind of reply would be given by him. Don't you realize that one can always look most things up in the book? That applies to all the facts that you learned at school. Yes, sir. So further, his teacher said to him, if you feel that you can see everything in the book, like apart from this important historical date, I hope we can also see other things also in the book, whatever you are being taught in the school. Then he said, yes. Then I suppose you don't see any point in learning facts. Frankly, sir, I don't, said Albert. Then you don't believe in education at all? Then further, there was a big argument between the Albert and his history teacher. He was asking questions frequently from Albert, and Albert was giving answer. He was answering to him. Oh yes, sir, I do. I don't think learning fact is education. He said that you did not believe in the education. Then Albert accepted no. That means he was not agree with this statement. He said that only learning facts is not education. According to Albert, only learning fact was not education. He had a great faith in learning. In what? He had a great faith in education, but he did not give importance to rote learning. Because according to Albert, these important dates can be found out in any book, from any book. In that case, said the history teacher with heavy sarcasm, perhaps you will be so kind as to tell the class the Einstein theory of education. When Einstein spoke, when he shared his feelings, what he thinks about the education. After listening so many answers from the Albert, the teacher became very much angry from him, and he said, yes, tell me the Einstein theory of education. Albert flushed, that means he became red from shame because he was insulted by his history teacher. Because Albert was that time only a student. I think it is not fact the matter, but ideas, he said. So finally, he did not stop himself, and Albert said, I think what is education? He said that the more important in education is to know the logical answer. I think it is not fact that matters, but ideas. Albert said that ideas play very important role in education. So it is the idea and the logic behind any incident, behind any event that is more important, and that can be education. I don't see the point in learning the days of battle or even which of the armies killed more men. I would be more interested in learning why those soldiers were trying to kill each other. Further, he said to his history teacher, it will be more interesting, it will be more important to know the reason behind the war rather than learning the important dates of the war or keeping the data how many people were killed in the war. That's enough. Mr. Brown's eyes were cold and cruel. He became very much angry, and his angriness you can see in his eyes. We don't want we don't want a lecture from you, Einstein. His history teacher scolded him. We don't want to hear any lecture from you, Einstein. You will stay in for an extra period today. Although I don't imagine it will do you much good. It won't do the school any good either. You are a disgrace. That means, disgrace means what? You are shameful for this class. I don't know why you continue to come. It's not my wish, Albert pointed out. Then you are an ungrateful boy. You are an thankless child and ought to be ashamed of yourself. I suggest you ask your father to take you away. So after listening the continuous answer from the Albert, the history teacher became very much angry from Albert, and he said, if you don't believe this kind of education system, if you don't believe in this rote learning, you must not come to school. I don't know why you are coming to the school. Then Albert was not stopped. He was also ready to give the answer, and he said, it is not my wish. In fact, sir, you told the right. Even I don't want to come to this school. It is my father who requests me, who sent me here in this school. Actually, Albert did not like this school which was in Munich because there was too much restriction in the school. There was strict discipline in the school, and Albert did not like this very much strict discipline in the school, and that is why he did not like to spend time in the school. Even he did not want to go to school. But it was his father who wanted him to complete his degree from that school, and that is why it was not his wish. So his teacher advised him. Albert was advised by his teacher to leave this school. So he said, you just make a request to your father. I don't know why are you coming here. So he said, no, it was not my wish at all. Even in fact, I don't want to come to school. So it was my father's wish. So he said, definitely you are a thankless child. Like you should be thankful for your father because your father is sending you here to get some knowledge, and you are just wasting your time and your father's money, because so many times he started fighting. So many times Albert started fighting with his subject teachers. Alright, so he was suggested to leave the school. Come to the paragraph number 3. Albert felt miserable when he left school that afternoon. Not that it had been a bad day. Most days were bad now. And from that day when he was scolded by his history teacher, the day was not good at all. Why it was not good at all? Because every next morning, finally, he had to go to school that he never liked. That is why from that day, almost days were bad for him. But because he had to go back to the hateful place the next morning, he only wished his father would take him away, but there was no point in even asking. He knew what the answer would be. He would have to say until he had taken his diploma. Going back to his lodging did not cheer him up. His father had so little money to spare that Albert had been found a room in one of the poorest quarters in Munich. He did not mind the bad food and the lack of comfort, or even the dirt and the squalor, but he hated the atmosphere of slum violence. His landlady beat her children regularly, and every Saturday her husband came drunk and beat her. But at least you have a room of your own, which is more than I can say, said Yuri when he called round in the evening. At least you live among the civilized human beings, even if they are all poor students, said Albert. So Albert was not happy at all, neither in his school because he did not like to go to school. He wanted to discontinue with school, but he had no any option how to leave the school. At first he thought that he must make a request to his father, but he knew his father very well that he will never be agree. He will never be agree to for this because his father, he knew what will be the reply, what will be the response from his father. He knew that if he make a request, then his father would say at first complete your diploma and then leave the school. So finally he didn't get any reason, or how he didn't get any way how to leave the school. So he became upset, and in the evening he met his friend, and his friend name was Yuri. He was not happy at all in his quarter also, like he was given one room from his father, and the room was taken in a very slum area because his father was not a rich man. So his father could not afford much better room, and that is why he was given a room for his study in a slum area. But he was not happy at all in his room also. Why he was not happy? He never mind the bad food and the lack of comfort or even the dirt. He was agree. He was ready to compromise everything because in his quarter, in his rented room, he was not getting proper facility. There was no proper facility. There was dirt. It was not cleaned at all because it was very cheap room. And the quality of food was also not good at all. But he never minded. He never demanded for these things. What was the problem? The problem was there the violence. He liked peaceful environment, and he was not getting that peaceful environment there. Why? Because the room in which he was residing, in which he was living, there his landlady most of the time used to beat her children, and on every Saturday her drunk husband used to beat her, and that is why there was so many noise in that place, violence, everyone was busy in fighting, and that is why Albert was not happy at all. He was not feeling peace of mind there. He was unable to concentrate his mind in study because of this, because he was not getting the peaceful environment. So when he shared his problem to his friend Yuri, Yuri made him understand at least you have your own room where you can study. But Albert said that no, here he was not getting the peaceful environment, so this place is worse. This place is not good at all. Then Albert said, at least Yuri, you have civilized person. That means you are living with the civilized person, but think about me, whom I am living, with whom I am living. I am living in a slum area, and they are not civilized at all. They are not well educated at all. They every time they keep beating each other. Every time they create sound, noise, and this creates so many problems for me, and that is why I couldn't concentrate my mind, and that is why I am restless. They are not civilized at all. Then what was the reply of Yuri? Yuri said, the same condition I have to face every day. The people along with whom I am living, they are not civilized at all. Did you not hear that one of them was killed last week in a duel? So you must have heard last time in last week one person was killed. He was murdered by another person in his locality only where he used to live. And what happened to the one who killed him? Nothing, of course. He is even proud of it. His only worry is that the authorities have told him not to fight any more duels. He is upset about this because he hasn't a single scar on his face to wear for the rest of his life as a badge of honor. So finally, when Einstein came to know about the murder of one person in Yuri's in his colony, that time Albert asked, so what happened to the killer? What happened to the murderer who killed that another innocent person? Then Yuri made him understand nothing. Only he was spoken by the authority not to fight again. So basically, he wanted to motivate, Yuri wanted to motivate Albert. Challenges will come, but never lose your heart. It is not you who is facing the challenge, who is facing the problem. It is I also who is facing the challenges. So rather than thinking about these things, you must focus in your study. So this was all about the first part of this Albert Einstein at school. From fourth paragraph, we'll continue in next part. Thank you very much.